before this whole thing went down, did you pretty much work from home too, or were you usually at the studio? Like, what was most of your time spent?
I'm in here, as my partner says, he goes, I've never known any choreographer to have as much email as you do. Like, first of all, I'm the only choreographer you've ever known. But Hālau is a nonprofit organization, which means we have to, we do nonprofit organization things, and a lot of that is me answering emails. That's what I do. So I spend a lot of time in this office. Besides, and this is where I choreograph here and there, and then it's also where I pretty much do everything except for dance, which is where we would have Hālau at the school that we rent out for, which we can't use because obviously of this COVID thing.
Yeah. So have you been doing a lot of your teaching through like video calls and stuff?
Right here, where I'm talking to you, we've turned Hālau into online Zoom classes, and it's amazing how, it pretty much works.
Yeah.
They're doing this, and like I stand up and I dance, and they follow along in their living room, their kitchen or bedroom, wherever they're at. And that's what we've been doing for like the last a month already?
Do you find like your students seem to try to get away with not following as much because they think you don't notice them?
That's something I probably would do, and I don't recommend it. But no, they're really good. They're really good. I think people are using this to just find a way to continue community, because I always say one of the biggest advantage of being in a Hālau is being in community. That's what it's about. Right? And people really, I think now is the time that people really want to have that ability because we're isolating ourselves. But to be in community is really important no matter what we do. So like last night, for instance, we had a 9 o'clock random have a drink with kumu, talk hula and stuff. And so everybody had to have a glass of something. And for an hour, we just drank and talk about hula and talk about things we're reading and talk about things which we're finding difficult or challenging in these times and how are we like moving over that, So I think any chance that allows us something, a period to get together is very welcome for a lot of people. So,
what was your drink of choice last night?
Red wine, Cabernet Sauvignon. Do not give me any of those French or Italian wines. Only Cab from Napa or Sonoma. Thank you very much. But it was actually a red blend called Mondrian. Yes, oh my God, so good. I like it jammy, and it is jammy as jammy can get. $23, Whole Foods.
Oh, wait. How much did you say? $3?
$23.
Oh, $20.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's like
that's Joe's.
Yeah.
Joe's. And well, you guys, what do you like?
I don't know if we could hang with you because Jamie's drink of choice right now is box of wine from Safeway.
I can do that. I can do that.
So when you say it's jammy, does that mean it's like really sweet and fruity?
Well, my partner would say yes, because I do like sweet wines, but it's just very fruity. It's rich. It just has feels like it has a lot of substance. Yes.
See, I actually don't like the taste of wine or alcohol. So anything that tastes more like juice, like I'm down for. So if that's what it tastes like, sign me up.
That used to be so me. So my partner is a Som, the Som of the first level. And he taught me how to drink and taught me like different tastes. And it took me like about 6 months, but I finally was able to identify what I like because prior to that, it all tasted like gasoline to me.
Yeah.
All gasoline. I couldn't tell you what was the difference, but he was able to, what I should do? You guys have any wine? Oh, you don't have any wine, but I should have him on here to teach you how to drink it like how he taught me because it made a difference. It made a difference for real.
That sounds like can we do that for our next episode? Like he'll tell us what to order. We'll pick it up and then we'll do it on like a live.
I will send it to you because you folks are such wonderful people. I will send 3 bottles. And then we'll do a wine taste test and he'll tell you how to do it. And that's how I learned. Otherwise, it would have been like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I like pork because it's sweet, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how I learned because he taught me how to do this. Okay, so we will do that.
Ooh, fun.
I will send you some stuff, some good stuff and some not so good stuff, and see if you can tell the difference.
Yeah, because this whole time I feel so unrefined and non-classy.
Oh my
I'll
God.
just like tank it just to get rid of it.
Honestly, that's exactly how I felt. Now I'm so belligerent because I kind of know what. Oh, that's terrible. And what I figured out, I don't like European wines because they're all bitter. They're bitter. Bitter wines, bitter people. No, I'm just kidding.
So you're in San Francisco right now. What's the vibe like for you guys as far as how the stay and what is it
Well,
called?
I was
Stay in
watching
place.
this episode on Reichel, and they were talking about how the doctors here early on were watching the trajectory of what was going on in Italy, and they were looking at what was happening here in the Bay Area, because the Bay Area is one of the first places that they identified a person with COVID. And they were looking at the Italian trajectory and noticing that ours was following on a similar plight, like a month or two later. And so they finally got together, and that's how the Bay Area, San Francisco was the first one with London Breed, our mayor, saying that we needed to shelter in place because they were looking at a similar path happening to us that happened to Italy. So thank God that they stopped that, right? They started that right away because it would have been bad news. And especially for like a hālau like mine, because not everybody's in San Francisco. People come from all over the Bay Area to come to hula in our city.
Oh.
So, you have some people in the city, a lot of people outside of the city in all the different counties, from San Jose to Santa Clara to Marin. Everybody comes to a centralized place for hula. And wow, that would have been disastrous if we didn't shelter in place earlier. So I'm grateful that we were probably, I think, the first in the nation to have that. The SF area. So I think people here are grateful for that, and we're good in terms of following the rules in terms of being sheltered in place, and yeah, so I'm grateful that we did that. Thank goodness.
And it's good that it seems like the way that you've been able to adapt with how you're teaching classes and stuff is that it's still working, and that you guys are connecting now just on a different level. But like what you did last night, I bet you guys probably learned a lot of things from each other. Yeah.
No, and it's like it's making it work with what you have. So it affords us opportunity for me to show them videos of things that I can never really do in class because it's a different format. So I'm able to use tools to my availability that I have on my computer that I didn't have when I'm teaching class. And in actuality, even before this happened, like every few months, I would not have a live class. I would say classes on computer now for this week. And then that way I would show them different videos. I would show them places that we talk about in our chants. We would visit these places and we have little explorations so that they could have more detail about whatever particular mele or song that we're learning that I'm not able to share with them in class, So once in a while, we have been doing this for a few sessions before this whole thing happened. Yeah. So
I love that you show them the places that you're doing these melees and chants about. Like I didn't even think about us before we got on this call. I was thinking about like where do you come up with like your creative process, but that's a really cool thing that you're doing.
Well, it's one of those things that you don't even think about when you're in Hawaii, because let's say you're doing a chant for Mount Kaala. I mean, chances are most people in your class have seen it, and maybe many of them have been around it. So when you talk about it, it's there in this coastline, and you can see it. But over here, no can. Maybe some people have. So why not give them the chance of actually visiting it? So when we're talking about the chant and dance, we can actually visit that one place and get a better feeling as to why the chant says this certain greenery happens in this certain time of the year, or we have a better idea of what the chant is talking about. Yeah, and it puts my video skills to work, and I'm pretty good. But it really does allow us another way of having hula, and I think it's important in this time and age that considering this is what we're doing now, it helped me kind of jump into it before I knew I was doing that.
Yeah. Do you think this is going to give you a chance to expand your halal? Like now you can have like students all over the world at the same time, huh?
I could, but I don't think I want to.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm fortunate that I have enough students here in the Bay Area, and I want to. It's important to have that personal connection.
Hmm.
You have
Yeah,
to, having both the personal connection and the ability to use this in your favor as far as a teaching tool. I think they work great together, but I wouldn't want to do it just where I'm teaching and I don't have the ability to see my students face to face and make that personal connection as well.
that
So
makes sense.
yeah, but wow, why not make lemonade? Lemonade is junk. Let's make lemon cake.
Yeah. Or maybe
Let's go bigger than lemon cake, right?
or lemon martini or
Right.
something.
Or lemon kulolo. How's that?
Yeah.
There's something more interesting. Yeah.
So I was wondering, because you've been doing choreography and creating and such, what is your process like? Because is it something where you think about the song first, or you create the movements first? Like, what is your process?
That's an interesting question, and my process is I'm all over the place.
Uh, I'm not surprised.
Like sometimes I have a song that I really, really love, and then I just put it on the shelf because I have no use for it at the present moment. And it goes in a library in my head where I store it, and it stays there for a very, very long time until I finally figure out, oh, now I can use this song because it makes sense in the context of what this show is about. So then I pull it out, and already my body has choreographed it. I haven't really gotten down to the dirty deed and actually done it, but in my head, I've done it many times already. Yeah. So now that I have the chance to do it, it's easy to choreograph. Then there are some things where I have to do it right at the moment. Like this is how awesome it is living in San Francisco, right? I get an email from one of my artistic friends, and she's awesome, Brenda Wong Aoki. I love the work that she does. She does talk stories, she does theater, dance, a mishmash of a lot of things. And they're doing this series of how artists are responding to what they call making an offering to Mother Earth. So it's like, okay, you get 3 to 9 minutes to make one video about offerings to Mother Earth. It's like, bring it on. That's my specialty, I believe. And like people are on the beach, and doing certain wonderful things with movement and dance, and you get it. They're at the beach. They're like integrated into nature, and that's awesome. But mine is going to be a real offering. It's going to be a chant that is dedicated to Papa, to Mother Earth, with a dance that goes along with that. So it's not like this imagined offering, which is not a bad thing. It is like real. I am making an offering to Mother Earth, but that's what people here do. And that's why I love it so much, because they think out of the box in terms of what you can do with art, and nothing's wrong. That's what you want. If I want to do that, right on. If somebody wants to do it in their gymnastic room and just make some moves to some beautiful music, and that's their offering to Mother Earth, right on for that too. It's how expansive the artistic world here is, that they really appreciate anything that you offer that has integrity, that has discipline, that has technique, so. But like I said, I'm doing an actual offering.
Challenge accepted.
Oh yeah, right. I will take that challenge, and I will an offer.
Do you ever get to a point where a challenge is brought to you where you get nervous about it, or have you been doing this so long and you're so confident that it's like you never feel like any challenge is too big for you?
I always get nervous. I think a little, depending on what it is. Like just going back, I went to my first Burning Man, I think it was 2015, and we made it into the actual place like about 2:30 in the morning. We parked and we started walking around, and within minutes, it's 2:30 in the morning. The kaleidoscope of colors is just going on. It is crazy, beautiful, unbelievable. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I like bringing my halal here to dance. I am so bringing my halal here to dance. So the next year, I bought 10 of us, because I thought, if I can make it work with 10, and those 10 will have already been there, and they can help me be the daddy to the rest, because I knew that I wasn't going to take that responsibility on by myself. And if we can make that work, if they think we can make it work where we can bring everybody, then that's what we will do. And we all decided, because we had some experiences, just the 10 of us. So I'll show you a video later about some of the stuff we did. It was so beyond anything I ever had experienced as a dancer and a teacher that, you know, I knew that I would want to do this. And it's funny because when I bought the group the next year and we did it, it was by far the hardest thing that I ever did in hula. And we've done some hard things in terms of performances. Try doing uniki, folks. That stuff is freaking hard to do an uniki. And I thought that was the hardest thing. But no, Burning Man was the hardest thing. And the one thing I learned about Burning Man is that I will never, ever, 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 ever do it again. From now on, I'm going, you like go with and you take care of your own stuff because I ain't taking care of you. And that's been the philosophy. And my kids, they're good. The ones who go, they work hard, they know how to do it. But I ain't taking everybody again. No freaking way ever. But we were able to have some experiences that were just very singular. You couldn't have them anywhere, you know. And the amount of money that we had to spend to make that happen was just crazy. And I thought it was crazy. Then I asked Keali, Reichel, hey, how much money you guys spend to go to Mary Monarch? You know, from Maui to just, you know, a hop, skip, and a jump to the island of Hawaii. And he told me it was like a lot of money. And I was like, that's the same amount of money we just spent to go to Burning Man. So I much rather do Burning Man than Mary Monarch. Now, some of my hālau may not share that same feeling. But they don't have to worry because they're not going again. That's a hālau. But to me, it was worth all that money. You know, so much time and energy goes into fostering for me the creative process. And that's what I loved about it. It just made me think in another way as a hula teacher. But the best thing about Burning Man, the most common, I guess, phrase or compliment that I would hear from people who saw our work in Burning Man, honestly, the most common was, I've been coming to Burning Man for 10, 15, 20 years, and I've never seen anything that beautiful. And you're like,
wow.
Try to turn around, look at that freaking piece of art behind you. That's way more beautiful than what we do. But far be it for me to tell you what you think is beautiful. It's not about us, but right on. But I'm not sure what exactly it was that compelled people to make those statements. And I think people are just generous. You know, you're in a place where it reminded me so much of being at home and how people are usually very loving and nurturing and kind. You know, that's the kind of principles that are, you know, built into the whole Burning Man experience. And of course, you're only there for 10 days. So, you know, everybody's on good behavior, right? If that thing was going for 6 months, it might not be like that. But I love that about how the whole Burning Man philosophy about this radical expression, and you just let people be how they are and you appreciate them. And it's about being kind and being accepting and taking care of your environment. Look at where we are with COVID. We haven't been taking care of ourselves, but this place is on it about, you know, make sure that no trace behind. There is nothing left. When you leave, you better take everything you bought into that place. I mean, we walked down like 10 people abreast going through our camp to make sure every glitter, every piece of splinter of wood, every screw, every nut is picked up. You want to make sure that place is super clean before you leave. And I love that responsibility to our environment, you know. And so add all of that together and put a performance, a hula performance, and have people come to your place and come to your show and cry while they're watching you dance. You know, we don't get people crying at our shows over here. Well, sometimes, but there's something that people feel a kinship with in the art of it that makes you want to be there to perform out of just aloha. And hopefully people will get that kind of experience continuously, you know. And we've been fortunate that way. So although as a hālau, we don't go now every year, we go back with some of us in hālau and we perform here and there. And the work is really appreciated. And I get to do some very, very funky modern stuff that I love to do, and some ultra traditional pieces that I love as well. So they all get to live there. You know, it's not one or the other. I bring them all out. Here you go, here you go, here you go. Enjoy, enjoy. You like. People love it and they get it, you know. And Keali Reichel, you heard of him? He's kind of famous.
I think I've heard
Yeah.
of that name.
I have, you know, because people don't really know him over there because that's not a place where, not, you know, he's well known. He's an amazing artist in Hawaii, but a lot of people don't know him outside of this sphere. And he loves it. He loves it to be able to go over there and just do his thing. And people don't really know him, but they recognize what an artist he is, you know, whether it's singing, dancing, or chanting, or commando, his space, whatever he's doing, they get it. Because you can see in that person, there's an artist, right? And so watching people discover this person called Keali Reichel, have no idea who he is, but they recognize this is a true artist. I love watching that happen for him and for all of us, you know, and he's so generous of his time and spirit. And because at Burning Man, I'm the boss. I'm the kumu, damn it, of Burning Man. So you guys follow me. And he gets in line. It's so funny, but he's so good. I was like, oh my God, can you dance? And then can you explain this? I got to go make shishi and I'll come back. And then you need to finish this with a hula and then sing that song and then I'll be ready. And he's like, done. He's so awesome. And I love his ease in front of a crowd and the way he's able to do something. So I have him dancing. I have him singing. I have him in the background singing for kids. I have him in the line dancing with the kids. And he is just such a pro at making it all happen and very generous of who he is as an artist with all of that. And this is not something you get to see of him because he's not put in that spot all the time, you know. So I think for him, there's a certain feeling of freedom as an artist where people aren't looking at him and expecting him to perform. Oh, this is Keali Reichel, tick, 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 you know how to do this, you better do this, you know how to do that. But he's able to give it freely. And there's something about giving of yourself without expectations, yeah, with freely to people who are watching and they're not having any expectations. And I think that's part of the big success for us with Burning Man because people don't have any expectations. They don't know what they're going to see in hula, whether it is to modern music or to traditional chanting. They're not sure what they're expecting to see.
Yeah.
And whether they understand it or not, they recognize that there's talent, there's technique, and there's something different that they've never seen before, and they respond to it. So that for us has been, you know, it's just so life affirming, and what a gift for us as a performer. So I'm not sure if I ever answered your original question, Nolan.
Well, I got so much more than I wanted, so it's good for me. But you gotta be honest with me, being in that position of authority, and have you ever taken advantage of making Keali do things just so that you can feel like, yeah, I got to tell him?
Every chance I get, of course. No, I mean, yeah. Okay, I gotta tell you something really funny because we were setting something up and I say, and you can glue gun these aloha shirts to this cardboard wall. We're gonna make a wall of aloha shirt. And the bugger tells me, I've never used a glue gun before.
Is that the look you gave him?
Yeah, I was just like, and a few other choice words I will not say about. Don't even try and tell me that you never freaking used one glue gun before. He goes, no, I've never. I go, I know what an artist you are with all those knots and fancy things you're making, and you telling me you never used one glue gun. And he goes, no. He goes, hey, the stuff that I do is all butch. I'm just like, oh, Mary. But he's never used a glue gun before. And I thought that was pretty freaking hysterical. But as I assumed, he did a fantastic job with his. So I try not to take advantage of it, but you know, once in a while, maybe.
Yeah, well, you got it.
I mean, it is Keali Reichel. I can't boss around any other, you know, platforms that we have where we work together. I've known Keali for a long time, but I've never really known him. More like known of and the kind when you see him from far away. Hey, how's it, bro? How are you? Nice to see you. But getting to know him, I have so much respect and aloha for him. He's incredibly knowledgeable about so many things. And I've learned a lot from him. And we're, you know, same age group, same age practically. I think maybe I'm a year older. Oh. But so we come from the same time and we speak the same language, you know. So we really understand each other. And it's been so great for myself, and especially for my hālau, many of them who have gotten to know him. And he's, again, so generous with his time and his mana'o that he's been such a gift to us. He really has. So.
Well, I gotta say, for us, when we've witnessed just you two interacting, it's the greatest thing. Like, you guys should do a traveling show together of just talking, because just seeing you guys interact is the funniest, most. It looks like you guys have been friends since you were born.
Oh,
Like,
that's so funny.
connected at the hip.
It feels like that. It feels like we have a very strong connection. So, and yeah, and you know, I just learned so much just by watching him do his thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's with him and his girls, or how he approaches a chant or a mele or a song, or stands up and really gives an explanation of what he's about to dance. In my head, I'm thinking, right on. Okay, I'm going to use that. Thank you. I have no shame. I'm going to use that. It's a really great learning experience for me. So.
You know, you're talking so glowingly about the experiences at Burning Man and doing that. So why, and you said that that's the last time you're going to do it. So why wouldn't you do it again? And what makes it so difficult that's different from other performances that you've put on?
So we have done it every year. What I mean, I'm not going to do the whole big 30 troop thing, because that
Right.
be responsible for all those people. But
Oh.
But like we go, there's a crew of us, about 10 people, 5 guys, 5 girls, and their husbands and wives and whatnot, that we've been kind of going every year. And that we do. That's doable because everybody has their kuleana. Yeah? You're building, you're taking down, you're putting that up, and you're putting that away. So when we did it for the entire hālau, a lot of them were new, so they didn't really have any kuleana, and there was just a group of us taking care of everybody, and that's where I recognized it was too.
Oh.
And you know what's so funny is because, I mean, I'm getting older, right? I'm going to be 60 pretty soon. And so...
Wow, you don't even look close to that to me.
I am. But thank you. But when we were tearing down the camp the first year, when we had all those people, I'm such a dummy. I let a lot of them go, and just those who built the camp, about the 10 of us, we tore it down. And it was in that, 110-degree weather. It was just, I can't even tell you how difficult it was just to have us do it. And I remember thinking to myself, digging and pounding and pulling. I am never, like Scarlett O'Hara in freaking Gone with the Wind, I am never going hungry again. I was like, I am never doing this again, ever. And so now, when we go back, I look at my boys, and they're working really hard, and I think to myself, yeah, I'm kupuna now. I ain't doing that hard work. I'm going to be making the decorations. I'm okay with letting it go, with pulling shit out of the ground and pounding them back in, and like bringing those heavy planks out of the truck. It may look like that I can, but this is only for decoration. That's all it does.
Just give you the glue gun and leave you alone.
Because artistically, you need to have your full mind working. You cannot be doing other kind of stuff like lifting and pounding.
No. It's going to drain you of your artistic energy.
Right, exactly. I got to have somebody.
They don't understand. We get you.
But they do now. They let me go, oh, Kumu, you can do this. We take care of this. Oh, you sure? Thank you. So I'm using my kupuna card.
You're talking about the artistic and the creative thing. So for you, when you are coming up with dances, do you see the movements and the people and the individuals dancing, or are you seeing I can try to imagine what you see in your mind as you create? What does it look like for you?
Like I said earlier, it's different for different things. I think what happens at this point in my life is I try not to intellectualize it too much. I try not to think, okay, well, I did 3 movements on this side of the track, so that means I have to move over to this side and give it something even. I try to just let my body choreograph it and not let my mind get in the way, which is what usually happens. Your body just organically works in tandem with your mind, I guess, and it just moves things around. Once in a while I go, oh, well, maybe I need to readjust that. But at this point, I just let my body do it. I just kind of let go and let my body, choreograph things the way that it sort of organically moves. I think it just inherently moves a certain way. I've been doing it for so long. And then allowing myself to stop and taking a look at things and going, oh, you know what? Maybe I can change that over there. Maybe I can change that part and that piece. But it's kind of like an organic way of moving now. I don't even really set any kind of template. Not all the time. Sometimes I do, but for the most part, I just let my body go, and the rest will follow. You like see something? Can I show you something? Yeah. So this is like our latest piece that we sent out, and it is so it's a piece that we did at Burning Man, and I intercut it with our home season show that we do every year. So it's the same piece, but it goes back and forth between the stage and Burning Man. And then I can tell you about my process with that. Okay. You can
see? Yep. Oh. Wow.
All right.
Holy smokes. So what was that about? Like, because I obviously don't understand.
You saw that wooden structure behind the dancers. That's the temple. And here's this other thing I love about Burning Man. Every year they have a temple, and it's given, and you have to vie to create it. These architects get together, and the temple is a place where people go to express their mana'o or their thoughts about losing someone who's they recently lost or lost a long time ago, or even some kind of painful event that happened in their life, like maybe they were raped as a child and they talk about it and they write about it. They put down all their thoughts and people leave memorabilia in there, this place of honor and commemoration. And then of course it's burned. It's the last structure that's burned. So hopefully all that pain and all the, those challenges and difficulties that you have in your life, can be burnt and sent away with the dust. I mean, they use it for various reasons, but just the thoughtfulness of that to create a place where people can have that, and to say goodbye to people who passed on in that year. It's very enriching and very, I think a very thoughtful way of allowing people to express their grief, and people use it for a variety of things, not just for grief. But that's what I love about Burning Man. There's a tempo. We should all have temples. We all have rituals in which to express passages, whether it's grief, whether it's love, whatever it is, someplace that we need where people respect whatever your feelings are. That's what's so beautiful about it. So that year I drove around on my bike to figure out a place where we were going to perform, because we just laid it out and just performed right in front of the temple, because to me, there was no other place. The temple was just so spectacular that year. Just so happens, did you notice it kind of looked like a volcano?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just so happens that piece talks about the volcano. That's what it is. It's Pele, as she cuts her way down through Puna and out there to the sea, inviting the water to come in, and the mist and the smoke just like battling for the light of day. I mean, it's a really beautiful mele, but it's so inspired by Pele and who she is as that the woman of fire and creation and destruction, right? But of course, people don't know that. But using that temple as a backdrop, even though it wasn't meant as a volcano, it's something to do with the universe. And I can't even, shame on me, I should know exactly how to explain it, but I don't. But it had nothing to do with the volcano. And I remember somebody telling me, well, I wonder if the architect would be upset that you were using his temple as a volcano. I said, well, first of all, I wasn't using his temple as a volcano. It just so happens that it does look like one. And if you took a Hawaiian from like 1710 and you plucked him in front of that object, that person, a Hawaiian would say, that's a volcano. There's nothing wrong with us looking at something like that and it inspiring in you a visceral reaction. Wow, that's a volcano. That's a compliment, buddy.
I think as an artist too, he would appreciate seeing his art being used for art, right?
To inspire work like that,
which is what he probably wanted.
Right. Yeah. All it is honorific. It's commemorating your beautiful piece of work. It made us want to do better in our art and offer that as an offering to your incredible piece. That's what it was meant for, So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that happens at Burning Man. I mean, that's why I want to partake of it as much as I can. It just fulfills me. Like Mary Monarch is awesome, and I've been able to be a part of Mary Monarch for a long time, but there is that competitive edge in there. And though that competition can make you better, I'm at a point in my life where, I'm going to be 60 years old. I don't want to compete to make myself better. I want to enjoy, and I want to give out, and I want to share and not compete, Not saying that competition is wrong, because if that's what you want to do, right on, good for you. Go for it. Yay, life. We can have these choices, right? But for me, if I'm going to spend $75,000, that's where I want my money to go, over there. Right? Yeah, so that's some of what we've been doing.
So when you first started in your journey of teaching, was competition kind of your focus, and now it's evolved to what you want to do now is enjoy and share?
Yeah, I mean, competition, I think, and I was grateful for it, because competition really hones your skill as a company. It makes you want to do better. It makes you, like, in terms of precision and in terms of expression, you work really long and hard. And I think it's important as a company that you have the avenues to work in that way. So competition for us for many years was what we did. And we were fortunate. We had our fair share of winning, so you feel validated, right? And you have your fair share of losses, and you know what that feels like as well. But then it got to be to the point where, wow, I'm going to invest all that time and money to do a competition where I get, what, 7 minutes? 2 minutes to enter, 5 minutes for a song, 2 minutes to exit, and that's it? That's all I get to do? Well, I'd rather do a production, a show, and spend that money and time in creating a whole arc, a whole evening of work, you know, and really challenge myself, show whatever we're capable of doing, from the most traditional to something very uber contemporary, and really stretch the limits of my company and of dancing. You know, and no matter how modern or uber contemporary we get, hula is the basis for all our movements. My dancers are not hip hop dancers. They're not, although I wish some of them were. They're not ballet dancers. They're not contemporary dancers. They're hula dancers. So all the skills that we've employed over the years come from hula as that foundation. So we stylize the movement to create new movement, but hula is the background, you know. So we are still a hula company. We still do and preserve and perpetuate traditional pieces of work, and we stylize movements to create something more modern. But hula is the nucleus. I mean, we don't have training in anything else. And I think that it gives you a lot of foundational texture and movement gestures so that you can create larger pieces, not larger pieces, that other pieces that are more contemporary, so to speak. And I see that in hālau hulas now. People they're doing traditional work, and they're also doing more stylized work in hula. And that's how it's always been. So yeah, I'm not the only one that's doing that. Maybe to the certain extent that I am with other kinds of music, perhaps. But I think a lot of people are working on that question of how to innovate and evolve without taking out the integrity of what hula is. You know, it's an important question that I think many kumu hulas are wrestling with.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because I know that because of your innovative style and implementing, you know, new music and such, that's what's made you very popular. But I think that when the last show that you did here, and you did a tour of different news stations and stuff, I noticed on like my social media feeds, there are some people who would post and like, what is this? Like, how could they do this to hula and stuff? And these are some people who are also like artistic people.
Right.
So
right.
that of anyone, I would have thought, oh, you would appreciate this.
Right.
How's that been for you? Like, what? How do you deal with that? And
you know, here's the thing that's so funny, because I think my kids, there was a post that happened with one of the pieces, and some of my dancers got really upset about it. I had no idea, because you know me, I don't really read Facebook, right? So finally I was like, oh, you know, my answer to this is, I've been doing this for 35 years. And if you haven't caught on as this is what I'm doing, you're like, really, I don't care. The point is moot by now. 35 years we've been doing this thing already, and now you're getting upset. Bro, yeah. I got better things to do than to be upset about people not catching up on the fact that this is what we're doing, and they're upset. Right on. You know, it's what my therapist says that stays with me. People get to have their feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead, have them. I'm still gonna do my stuff. It's not I am super fortunate in that my kumu, Robert Casimiro and Timeka Mama Lupline, they love what I do. I mean, they totally support what I do. So I have the support of my kumu. I mean, do I need support of anybody else? No, I really don't. I mean, if you like it, yay. If you don't like it, you know, I understand. I mean, I respect your feelings. You don't have to like it. But that's not going to do anything to me in terms of stopping what I want to do with my work and with hula, you know. And I think also one of the things that makes me feel very confident is that our traditional repertoire is strong. I know our traditions, and I've passed that on to my dancers, and they know how important it is when I give them certain dances and I say, this thing there is no way you can change any of this. This has to remain intact for, you know, decades or centuries when you pass this on. Do not ever change, otherwise I will come back and haunt you from the grave. And I like that.
That's a scary thought.
You know, when I die, I'm going to be really ugly and old.
I just imagine you being really flamboyant as a spirit. Like, if you can move now with this human body, imagine you in spirit mode.
Yeah, that's so scary to even think of. And I love, there's one part of me that really loves having rules. I really love being able to say, okay, no can, only this way, only that way. Good, that's great. I'm happy to follow that. Because there's another place where there really aren't any rules. There are no rules in hula that says you cannot dance hula to Tony Bennett's I Left My Heart in San Francisco. There are no rules. No more. Show me where. No, no more. But there are rules that say these are the dances that you can only use pahu as an accompaniment. Do not ever use an ipu heke. Do not ever take out these certain motions. Do not change these dances. There are rules for us that are clearly set. Those rules I'm happy to follow. But there are no rules that say you can't dance hula to house music. Right? Where I remember once I was doing an interview and this one DJ said, well, you do some hula to dance music. Would you like to see other halaus following the same route and doing hula to dance music? I was like, no. I just like be the one doing that. So the other halaus, they can get their own thing. Yeah, you can dance however to whatever you want, as long as you feel pa'a in yourself and you know what you're doing, or even if you don't know what you're doing, it doesn't hurt to try and to stretch your artistic self,
Do you remember the first time you made this decision to go in this direction? Was it scary for you, or was it something that was like?
It wasn't scary because I've been doing it when I was dancing with Robert. Robert was like, he was experimenting with Robert Casimiro, or he was experimenting with a lot. So I am not the person who made this up. It's funny because Robert has a lot of talented guys dancing for him. Manu Boyd, who is, one of our cultural icons for us today. Vito Baker and Michael Casapang, other kumuhulas that he graduated. I think all of us took different parts of Robert that we were able to really excel at, like whether it was singing or composition and whatnot. And the part that I really loved from Robert, besides everything he gave us, was his foray into a modern interpretation, a new aesthetic with hula. I thought that was really inventive and cool and innovative. And that is what made me want to dance for him. And then once I got in the door, then I started loving all of the traditional stuff. But before that, I didn't really like anti-Genoa. I didn't really like certain music because I didn't appreciate it. But once I got in there, and it was the innovative stuff that introduced me to all the traditional stuff, and where I was able to draw connections and go, oh, I can see how this came from that, and what he was doing, taking this motion and turning it into that. And the motion that he started with, the nucleus, is beautiful. And now I can appreciate that. But if I was just to look at the original trappings of all the traditional stuff, I wouldn't have been able to appreciate it. So I kind of went through the other way, the back door, from the innovative to the traditional, to learn how to appreciate the traditional. And now, it's weird because like when I watch a hula competition and whatnot, I prefer the more traditional approach myself.
Interesting.
I really value that expression, because I recognize that there's so much inherent beauty in our traditions. So there's a place that we can leave it alone and just be grateful that we have that. And then there are other places where we can take, a piece of that and then create something new, but it still retains a thread or a kaula that attaches it to the traditional piece, that we can see that, oh yeah, that's still connected. I can see the connection is there and not totally broken away. And of course, there are some pieces which I've totally broken away, but intentionally so.
Yeah.
I know that I'm breaking away, and they're not out of it.
So did you grow up doing hula, or when did you get introduced to hula?
When I started in St. Louis, when I was a freshman in high school, so I was 13, and it was us. At St. Louis High School, I joined, first of all, this is kind of funny. My first experience of hula was when I was in Kamehameha School's explorations, and that was 5th grade, so I was 10 years old, and I hated it. Hated it. I mean, we had all kinds of Hawaiian cultural classes and sports classes, and I loved them all, and the one that I hated the most was hula. And I figured out later on why it was, because the teacher was this big muffy. And I I guess as a young kid, I was thinking, oh my God, that's going to be me, because I knew I was Mahu, right? But I wasn't out. But I was thinking, oh, if I grow up, I'm going to bring one big muffy like that. And what scared me about this kumu, but this wait, let me finish the story before people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. What scared me about this teacher was that he just was so comfortable in his skin. And I didn't think that one could be that comfortable in your skin and be Mahu and out and teaching hula, you know. Not that he was saying, I'm a big Mahu and all this, but just by his flamboyant personality and sassiness, because, you know, a lot of Mahus, they're inherently sassy, and that's what we love about them.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never seen that.
It's what we love about them and what we're annoyed by them. But he was like that. And it wasn't until years later, when I was looking back, I was finally able to figure out. Now, this person, I'm not going to name who this person is, but I love this person just because this person is so sassy and smart and just so comfortable with himself. And now I celebrate who this person is, because I'm finally comfortable with myself, you know. But it was the audacity of that person being so strong in who they were that scared me. And that really turned me off to hula. So when I went to join my high school group, this is me. This is so stupid. I tell the instructor, John Keali Lake, Mr. Lake at the time, oh yeah, Mr. Lake, I want to come out. I just like learn the songs, yeah, so I can sing on my family luau. I don't like dance hula. Like I'm telling the instructor what I like to do. And he looks at me, oh, well, just to let you know, in this hālau or this hui, yeah, you sing and you dance. And you don't like dance, there's the door. Oh, all right, well, let me try it out for a couple of, you know, hooked. 2 weeks, that's all it took, hooked. I knew I was going to do it for the rest of my life. I'm like, oh, this is, wow. What do you mean? Of course, I'm in it for the rest. And I remember going home and telling my family, my mother, my sister, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, and I think I'm going to be a teacher after 2 weeks. And I remember my sister kind of gave me one look like, And I told her later at my uniki party, like 30 years later, I go, you remember that moment? She goes, yeah. And I go, and you were thinking, oh, you are Mahu, right? That's what you were thinking? Yeah. She said, yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. Oh, you are Mahu. Yeah. I thought I wanted to be one cool. Yep, and we laugh about it now, but you know, they had a process that they had to go through, my family. And I was thinking about my father, because you know, my father, of course, he went to St. Louis, right? And he was expecting his son to go to St. Louis and play football and follow that bag, right? And well, he got a hula dancer, you know, so he had to kind of shift his sort of expectations, right? And my father was this really wonderful man. And well, you know, he had a drinking problem like a lot of fathers have. And it caused this, it made it difficult for me to relate to him, because I just thought of him as this person who just drank so much, and I just didn't want to deal with it. And it made it difficult for me to have a relationship. And what I realized many years later, 40 years later, after my mother died and it was just my father and I, was that it was my father and the way he accepted me as a child. Like, okay, so for instance, I'm planning on doing a one-man show called I Am My Father's Son, How Pom-Poms on a Stick Made Me the Man I Am Today. When we were small, we would go to the St. Louis games, and my sister was a cheerleader for St. Louis. She had blonde hair, blue eye, big boobs. She was very popular. So we would go to the games all the time, right? But my father loved St. Louis High School. So this is like at the old stadium, Honolulu Stadium. You remember down King Street? You guys might be too.
I've seen pictures.
Damn it, I bet you have. Okay. So we used to go there, and I used to love going to the football games too, but not because of the football game, but because of the pom-poms on a stick. Because they would sell pom-poms on a stick, 25 cents per color, so it's 50 cents. And then they walk up the aisle, and you get your pom-poms on a stick, and you follow the cheerleaders, right? They would be with the big pom-poms, and then you would be like, right? And oh, that was my life. I loved it. And, they would be walking up the aisles and I'm like, Ma, where's my 50 cents? One red, one blue, thank you. And to the whole thing, I was just like, right? So now, I never thought of it where there's my mother next to me and then my father next to her, right? Never once did my father ever turn around to me and go, put those freaking pom-poms down, you're embarrassing me, right? I mean, how many fathers would be able to deal with their son going to town? And let me tell you, I went to town with those pom-poms on a stick. I never hold back. I wasn't like over here, like, da, 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 da. I was full on. And it occurs to me that was really like my first kind of connection to choreography, right? Because I'm like, and then while they were down doing their own things, I was just making up my own routines, right? And I think back and I'm thinking, oh my God, my poor father. I'm so sorry, Dad, that you had to like do that. But never ever once said a disparaging word, looked at me with any sort of disapproval. He just let me be, and now I think to myself, wow, how incredibly, what a gift that was to just let me do that and be that and not try to press me down or to make me feel bad about myself in any sort of way. My father was the kind of like, he'd be working on the car and go, can you go to my, my toolbox and go get me that whatever kind of wrench? And I'd be like, it was the same all the time. I know I'm going to walk over there to the toolbox. I'm going to pick out something. It's not going to be what he wants, but I know I got to go pick it out, and this is how it was for a while. Here, and he would come out and he wouldn't say anything like, dummy, I told you whatever kind of wrench it was. What is this? This is something else. He would just like, oh, yeah. Oh, no worry. No worry. And he would go and go pick it up himself. Never made me feel bad that I didn't understand what that was, And now when I look back and I think, oh, my father didn't really contribute much to me as a child, I understand that actually he contributed a lot. So yeah. So I think about him, I think, wow, Dad, right on, man. Thank you. Thank you for all the things you didn't do. Yeah. So now, no worry, because one day I'm going to grow up and I'm going to do things with weird music and fabric, and I'm going to be and you're going to be so proud. And he was. And he was. Oh, wait, this is the funniest freaking story. So my father always used to tell me after we do our show in October, make sure I get the videotape, because back then it was VHS. So I had to make sure I send the tapes of the show, and he would watch it a lot religiously. And our first show, Natives Are Restless, he especially loved that. And that's when we did that, 96, right? And he would watch that constantly. Now, my cousins then would all come to the house. This is in Waimanalo. And for Christmas, to be around my father, because he was by himself, this is after my mother died, right? All my cousins would come over, and they'd have a big paina and bring food and beer, and they would drink and have a great time. But during the course of the day, they would have to watch The Natives Are Restless. Now, this has been going on for years, right? Just think about the damper that puts on a party. We got to watch freaking Natives Are Restless, Patrick Shogun. And then not only that, you had to watch and pay attention. Yeah, because he was looking at you, see if he was going to react to all my stupid jokes and the dances. That's how freaking warped, but lovely my father was, right? So one year, somebody, this is my cousin telling me, somebody had the temerity to tell my father when it was time to watch The Natives Are Restless, oh, Uncle, you think we can like listen to Christmas music? What? You don't want to come over here and watch Patrick show? Get the hell out. Get out, all of you. He kicked them all out of the house. Because somebody had the audacity on Christmas Day to tell my father that they wanted to listen to I told my cousin, I said, oh my, I am so sorry. So sorry that you had to like live through that. But that was my father, right? So
was that family member banned for the rest of their life from the party?
Yeah. I think if they bought beer, so they were kind of forgiven.
Oh, okay.
But and that was my father's way of being proud of his son and being someone in my corner, and yeah, as out of whack as it was, but I recognize all the things that my father did that was really being in my corner. And now I can look back at it that and be so thankful. I took this, if I'm going on too much about this, just let me know. I took this course called Landmark. I don't know if you ever heard of Landmark Education. It's just like this, it's kind of like it's an intensive weekend thing, and they have several weekends after you finish one, you go on to another. It's just about creating possibilities in your life and making your life better, becoming a better person, right? And one of the things they tell you is to, if you have any pilikia with any of your family members or people you love or anybody, that's going to hold you back from becoming the true person that you need to be to create opportunity and love and all of that in your life. You need to fix it. Now, these workshops are like from 9 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. Okay. Yeah. For like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They're super intense. And then, so you got to fix this in that time between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning. You got to call these people and they don't take no for an answer. You kind of come back and say, no, you didn't try. So I'm like, really? So I'm thinking, how am I, because the only person I could think of that I had pilikia was my dad, right? First of all, how am I going to explain to him what Landmark is, right? And then anyway, so I'm like, okay, I wait till the last minute. The last day, I didn't even do it at the night or beforehand, so I'm doing it during my lunch period. I got 15 minutes. I'm walking across the street. They still had phone booths back then. I call him up and I go, Dad, so I'm at this thing called Landmark where, you're just trying to create opportunities to make a better life for yourself. And one of the things they say that you need to do is clean up any kind of like relationship issues that you may have with people in your life, then that's what you need to do. So I'm calling to tell you that I'm sorry that I used your drinking in the past to prevent myself from having a full relationship with you. And I just know it was my fault. It wasn't you. I was the one who was preventing it. And I'm sorry that I did that. And I'm sorry that I come home and I leave the house early in the morning. I don't come back till late at night. I don't do anything around the house. I don't do anything around the house. I'm one of those sons. I never did anything around the house. But I did give him a credit card to do it, whatever he wanted to do. That made him feel good, made it easy on me, I suppose. But I'm just calling to say, I'm sorry that I created this and I want us to have a better relationship. And my father goes, what? I had no idea, Pat, that this is going on for you. I go, Dad, what do you think? I come home, I leave the house like at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm gone to like 11 o'clock in the night. I barely see you. And he tells me, well, you've always been like that. Mama and I knew that's what you do. And we know that you have lots of friends. You see that. We are just grateful for the time that you spend with us whenever you can. I'm like, oh my God, you had this thing down. You never have to pay the $500 for go to this freaking workshop. And again, that just said to me, you've given me so much without me knowing. And so, yeah, my father, he did a lot by not doing anything. So I owe him a lot. Yeah, so.
I love that. And I think a lot, like from hearing your stories, it kind of brings home I think things that we all deal with, which is our own perceptions of things and how we take it versus what their intentions are, right?
And that's what the point of Landmark is like what happened versus what your perception of what happened.
Yeah.
And they're saying it's not the problem itself that's the problem. It's the way you react to it. That's what creates problems in your life. It's just how you handle it. And so it's a very difficult concept to finally understand. But once you do, you can really minimize the pilikia in your life by just handling it better. It's easier said than done. But yeah. Oh, look at your doggy. What's up?
She wanted to get up real bad.
Oh, cute. I love them.
Was it a difficult experience for you when you did come out to your family?
So it was pretty easy with my mother because we were very close and she kind of always knew. So I didn't have to say the words, to her that, oh, I'm gay, kind of, sort of. And I remember we had a meeting with my mother. So, we were at some cafe in downtown because she used to work downtown. And she had a list of questions. Are you the lady or the guy? And like, no, I hate to disappoint you, but there is no lady and no guy. We're both two guys. Oh, of the lady. And she goes, well, who pays for everything? She goes, do you pay for everything? She was really wanted to make sure that I wasn't stuck paying for everything. I'm like, well, I'm glad you're thinking that I'm the guy, because that's what you're thinking about, right? You know, no. I said, no, we share. It doesn't, not one person or the other that pays for everything. I'm like,
How old were you when this happened?
I was about 19.
Okay.
But
What?
of course, it was like, no, tell your father. We cannot tell your father. Like, okay, I don't need to tell my father. But, you know, after years went by, you got to be something stupid to not figure that out. And so I never said the words to my father, Dad, I'm gay, right? Because I didn't have to. You know, I would bring men over to the house. This is my friend Bob, who's I've been living with for the past 6 years, and he knows. And then this one is Buck, and this one is Rob. I mean, you know, he's not stupid. But he never, again, my father just accepted everything. He was very kind to these guys, never made any kind of disparaging remark about any of them. So I was fortunate. I know a lot of people don't have that same experience. I had an uncle who was gay and an aunt who was gay. And my uncle used to work at the Glades. You know, the Glades was that big Mahu bar in Honolulu, downtown Honolulu. It was the place to go to. And my uncle ruled the rules. I mean, nobody freaking around with my Uncle Emil. I mean, he like laid the law. Yeah. But what was awesome is that after the Glades was finished that night, a lot of the Mahus would come to the house and we would play Mahjong. So we would have like 4 card tables set up of like 12 to 16 Mahus and my family in the house. And the Mahjong would go on till like 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
You know what it's like having 12 Mahus in your house playing Mahjong?
I can't imagine.
Oh, it's so loud and freaking hysterical. So they were around it for a long time and they never said anything upsetting about my aunt or uncle. So I guess I kind of knew that, you know, it's one thing, it's okay if it's your brother or sister, but another thing with your child. So,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I felt that there's a certain safety in that their brother and sister were gay and they were okay with it.
What was your motivation? Like, why did you decide at that point to come out to your mom? Was it because you wanted to introduce her to your boyfriend or something?
You know, it just felt like it was coming to that place because I didn't have a girlfriend and there were always questions, or are you seeing anybody? And I was just tired of lying to, like, you know, the flight attendant I'm seeing is not a girl, it's a guy. You know, I just didn't want to, it was just too hard and too oppressive to lie anymore.
Yeah.
It just felt like now is the time to be able to tell you the truth. And then once you're able to do that, it's just an easier, cleaner life to lead.
Yeah.
Telling the truth. So for the people who have to hide all the time, that's a really, really difficult and degrading job to have to do all of that. So
was that the kind of the last hurdle for you after you told your mom that allowed you to feel that freedom and just, okay, now I can be myself?
Yes. Yeah, that pretty much was, and I felt comfortable doing what I was doing, and then, you know, what's funny is that my father started working for an airlines, and so I was able to travel to San Francisco, you know, and of course, right, he goes to work and his son is going to San Francisco again. He needs a ticket, right? So I'm going to San Francisco. What's over there? I'm going to get bags there over there in San Francisco. And so having to deal with that, but never telling me, you know, I'm tired of trying to do this trips for you for San Francisco because people making fun of you and me, but never once. Always getting me what I needed in regards to that. So now, yeah, I'm just so, thanks, Dad. I'm so grateful to him for that love and support, because I know a lot of other fathers would have an incredibly difficult time doing that for their kids. Yeah.
I think it's awesome that you're able to have, it's almost like this is in your age now and being able to look back at this, like you have a new relationship with your dad, almost like a really new relationship with your memory of him, which now you get to have going forward, just this wonderful.
Absolutely. Because it used to be, when I used to think of my dad and our time together, it was hard, you know?
Yeah.
Because I created the difficulties around that, you know, which made me unable to see all the great things that he did, you know. So now that I am there, is a real true feeling of liberation and acceptance and love, and hopefully I can use that in my relationships with everybody in my life, understand people a little bit more, why they're doing certain things, and not being upset with them, but just having more compassionate for them. Because in the end, the more you're able to shed of those things that make it difficult for you to relate to people, the better it is for you. The hell with them, the better it is for you as a person, to be kinder and more understanding. It's like we feel like we're surrendering and we're giving up so much of ourselves if we like be nice to certain people. But really, it's not. You empower yourself. That's a really difficult concept to get around. But once you can manage that, in the end, wow, there's so many good things that can result from having that kind of relationship with people. It's hard. Yeah. It's not easy. But if you can manage that, right on, good for you.
I love that. I'm so grateful for you to share that with us, especially because I think I'm kind of in that transition mode for myself personally.
With your parents?
Just remembering what went on and having had that hold against me in a negative way for all these years, and now trying to understand it, especially being a step parent now too. Really forced me to think about things and really understand it. So hearing your story and hearing your perspective and your experiences of it really helped me too.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, because it took me a long time. And for some people it can be a very long process, but once you discover the key to open the door, then it's just a matter of sticking the key inside and opening the door. But if you can, it just becomes better for you. It's just better for you in the long run, because all that sort of, I'll say, hate and misery and whatever you create, it just poisons you. It poisons you. It doesn't do anything in terms of liberating yourself. So if you can find that path, it's such an easier path to walk through in life, hard to find, but once you do, it's really wonderful. So
it's worth it.
Totally worth it.
The best part of this all is that I didn't have to pay you for the landmark. I got all of the landmark training for free today.
Yes, you did. But in landmarks, I don't want to say that really changed the way I operate in the world, going through a landmark, because they really give you some great tools to operate in the world. And one of the things that I got from them that to this day rules how I interact with my students was, one, your word is everything, right? What you say and your follow through, your integrity, it's everything. And one of the things I noticed was slipping for me with the hālau, and it sounds like a very simple thing, was starting on time, right? Okay, class is at 7:00. But then through the years, I was noticing, start at 7:02, 7:05, because people are coming across the bay. We want to give them the time to come across. And so then 7:05, 7:08. And then at some point, it's like, well, what time does class really start? Because I'm coming late, people are coming late. It's okay, because class used to start at 7, but it's kind of like 7:0 whatever.
Yeah.
Finally, I just sat down with every single class. I go, if class starts at 7:00, it's starting at 7:00 exactly. Whether you're there or not, it will start, and I will be there at 7:00. So just that simple act of starting class on time every single time, people know that that's what it is. And I think people like that you're respecting their time and they're respecting your time. And just that simple little thing, although it sounds very simple, but you know what it is? People coming on time. Look at me, and today I'm so embarrassed. Here I am talking about I'm so good with starting things on time. And I'm right for you folks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hey, you weren't on time for us.
Mr. Big Dog, yeah, who do you think you are? Tell our audiences, Mr. Always on time was not on time.
It's like 9:04 when you
I'm horribly embarrassed. But yes, going back to that, but being on time with hula, because hula is important for all of us to be on time. We have a certain amount of minutes in class. We need to take full advantage of that. I'm going to be on time. You're going to be on time. And if you're not there, you're not there. But we're starting. So those are just little steps.
Yeah, and I think what that does too is it shows that not only do you have respect for them and their time, but you respect your time as valuable too, so that they start to value it. Because if you don't show that you're valuing your own time. They're like, oh, then I can do the same too.
That's exactly what was happening, you know, and it was
Yeah.
happening over a period of time where it just became, oh, that's just how it is. Yay, well, no big deal, you know.
Yeah.
I teach in prison as well, and I had a similar thing happen in prison where, you know, I'm starting with these guys in prison. I'm just trying to get in a feel, the lay of the land. These guys are in prison, and we're having class, and you know, we get together in a circle, and then we dance. But I noticed that when we were sitting down in circles with our chairs in a circle and talking about the chants and whatever we talked about, guys would just get up and they'd leave whenever they felt like it. And I didn't what? It's like, oh, is this something that they naturally do in prison, or do I get to say anything about that? What is that? You know, I don't know. Maybe that's how prison life is, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like I could say it. This is not how I run. What the hell are you doing? Like in my hālau, that would not
Yeah.
go, right? And finally one day I said, somebody was getting up to go and do whatever. I said, hey, I go, where are you going, by the way? I go, I notice this happens a lot when we sit down in a circle. People just randomly get up and go wherever you go. I don't know where it is. And so where are you going? Oh, getting a drink of water. I go, did you ever notice the entire time that I've been here for the last few months, I have never gotten up in the middle of us having a discussion and gone to drink water or scratch my olos, whatever. I'm always here having a dialogue with you guys. And they go, yeah. I go, why is that? Why do you think I just stay here and I just talk to you guys and I never get up and leave in the middle of us having a discussion? Silence. And some guy goes, respect. I go, exactly. I go, please respect my time. I'm donating my time and I'm happy to do it. I'm here with you, giving you whatever I can give you. And I would love for you to have that same respect for my time. So from now on, if you have to go to the bathroom, you have to drink water, raise your hand. Got it. It was like we just entered a new realm of like relating to one another after that. The idea of respect in prison,
Yeah.
something that people really understand, you know, so that I was able to delineate that and say, this is what I need. If you're going to be in this class, I need respect, and I will give you that respect that you deserve, you know. And so that changed the way we move. And from then on, it was like, wow, we were able to really create some good boundaries and understandings. And yeah, it kicked it off in a new way of relating to one another. And I was very happy to have that initial discussion.
Where did you come up with the idea to teach hula in the prison system?
We did a performance once where, you know, we were advertising our home season in October, and it was for this Asian Pacific Island show program that was going to be aired on Sunday morning at 5:30. I was like, whatever, you know, we'll take whatever we can get, right? And so I get a call the next day, Monday, from this woman who says, hi, I work in the San Quinten Prison and for the Native Hawaiian Religious Spiritual Group. And some of the guys saw you on TV and they're wondering if you would consider coming over to teach a class at the prison, because the person that they had who was teaching that particular class, it was very difficult for her to make it to all of the sessions. So I didn't even know there was a need. I knew that in Arizona and other places, they were farming off a lot of Hawaiian prisoners to those locations, but not necessarily in San Quinten. So that's how it started. They were the ones who saw us on TV. And so who watches that program on Sunday morning at 5:30? Apparently prisoners.
Yeah.
So they kind of asked if I would go and come and teach. And so that's how it started. I said, okay, you know what? I thought I'd be willing to do that. And I think that would be a good use of my free time. I would love to be able to give back to the community in that respect. And that's how it started about 4 years ago.
I know a lot of people would hear that and be like, oh, they must learn a lot from you. But I don't know if anyone's asked you this. What have you learned from that experience?
It's funny because I see how much they come away with it. They really do come away with a lot, and they're very grateful. But I really do feel that I come away with a lot, not a lot more, but I come away with this, how do I say? I've been teaching hula practically all of my life, right? And you go and you have these classes with people, and sometimes the classes are awesome and great, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes you come back not feeling anything. But whenever I come back from one of those classes, no matter how the day went, I always feel that I accomplished something. I actually accomplished something kind of meaningful for that day, for that time period. And even if sometimes, prison, this is what's so prison. They don't care. If they're starting late or if they have a problem that's in the prison, it's not like, oh, I'm so sorry you came here for nothing, but, we're not allowing people to go in today because of the weather. And yeah, the weather's kind of misty today, so we're not letting people outside. Bye. It's like, oh, yeah, no, we're not having, the guards are having a barbecue today, so we're not having any programs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and not like, I'm sorry that you came all the way, or, somebody didn't call to tell you. Oh, somebody didn't call to tell you? Yeah, it's like prison has its own rules. And the sooner you're on the page that that's how it's going to be, the less grief for yourself, because who are you going to complain to? Yeah, nobody. You just make it work and you get in there, do your stuff when you can, how you can, and even sometimes we just sit there and we just look at the board and we just chant and we go back and forth. I ask them questions about the chant, and for the entire hour and a half, all we do is chant, and they're good. They love it. It's like they respond, so whenever I can get in there and do whatever I need to do, I'm happy to do it. I feel really grateful that I can just be there with them. So, and they're very responsive and they're very grateful. Oh, thank you, kumu. You're not supposed to have any sort of, you can do this. She can, but that's it. No hugging, but they always give me a bro hug,
Oh.
Yeah. It's amazing to me that those guys can even live in that kind of atmosphere. So I'm just grateful that they seem to be taking what I can manage to give them and, creating something. I mean, they seem to really take it to heart and they include it in their lives and they're very responsive. And so just knowing that I'm having that minimal kind of effect on them is, it's very fulfilling. I get a lot out of it.
Yeah. Have any of your students in there come out of prison, or have they all still been in?
And a lot of them. And so that's the bittersweet kind of thing about it, is that you work with these guys for years. And let me tell you, some of them are really good. And I'm only there once a week. If I was in there twice a week, having that kind of 2 or 3 hours, these guys would be contenders. I laugh because my hula brother, Makuaka, and the amazing hālau Wēkiu, but he also teaches at a mid-pack. And so there's a funnel for these kids who've been dancing hula in high school, and many of them go right to the hālau. I used to be so damn jealous. Teach all these young kids, and then boom, they're trained and they move into the hālau. Wow, that's something I would like. And now I'm thinking, oh, well, you can have those high school kids. I'll take the ex-convicts. It's not that easy, though. But yeah, so you train these guys and then they get released. And for me, it's kind of bittersweet because, of course, I'm happy that they're released and they get to have their lives. That's exactly what they should have. But at the same time, I've trained these guys. We've worked really hard and they've reached a certain level of skill that would be optimal for me to continue to work with them. But they're moving to LA, they're moving to north of Sacramento. And so it's difficult when you have to let that go. As happy as you are for them leading their lives, you kind of feel like, hey, but what the hell, man? I put in 2-3 years of work in you. Get back to the hālau now. But some of them have started dancing who are.
Oh, good.
But still, it's different. It's different too, because you're in your life trying to make things happen, and then you want to include hula in that. But at this point of your life, you're just trying to survive. So it's difficult, but we'll see where it goes. I'm just happy to have whatever part of them I can have.
I feel it's almost like what I see in it is that you're just planting these little seeds in them, and when they go out into their community or their group of people, it may not be necessarily hula, but the seed that you planted is now growing into a beautiful, flowers and
exactly.
fruits. Yeah.
I'm hoping that that's the way it is too. I had this one guy, he was part of the group since the beginning, but he was one of those guys who did not give me the bro hug, was always shake hand. But totally understand. What's up? Hey, yeah, bro, whatever. And he seemed like a nice guy, but he was always there and he was getting better and better. But I get it. Some people don't really want to have that connection or feel weird about it. I totally understand. I'm not expecting the bro hug anyway. Just shaking hand is fine. And then we were getting ready for an event where he wanted his attorney to come. So he asked me, can you call my attorney to invite him to this makahiki event we're having? And I said, yes. So I called his attorney and I said, hey, I am the, because my official title is the spiritual advisor for the Native Hawaiian religious group. And if you know me, that's just, I just luxuriate in that irony. But anyway. Yeah, and like my class is not called hula class. It is called service. Can't get any better. Service, not hula class. I love that. So I was talking to this guy's attorney and I said, we wanted to invite you to the celebration that we had. I'll just use an alias name. I said, Bob wanted me to invite you. And he goes, wait a minute, are you Bob's hula teacher? I go, yeah. And he goes, oh my God, I can't tell you how Bob talks about you all the time. And he talks about how much he loves being in the class and how that's made a difference in his life and how now where he used to think this way, now he thinks that way. And it's all because of going to that class. And I'm like, wait, we're talking about the same guy, the non-bro hug guy, that one. And I was shocked that there was any kind of capacity of this man to understand any of those things, and there it was like, that's why I do this, because if I can have an effect on one person, and it's not me, it's, it's creating a brotherhood. And that's the thing that I realize the most about the work that I do, because yes, we say it's the cultural underpinnings that is, that's the foundation of which we grow. But I gotta tell you, maybe people will be getting mad at me, but you know what? I don't freaking care, because I've been in it, and here's what I know. It's the community. It's the community. Because if you don't create the proper environment for a community to grow and to nurture and to love and to have compassion, I don't care how good you are with the culture, that stuff is not gonna transfer. You've gotta create a strong, healthy community. Once you create the strong, healthy community by being clear on expectations and boundaries and by doling out lots of love and kindness and discipline, you gotta know where those boundaries lay. Once you create that community, you can freaking do anything with that community. So it's the communal aspect of being in a place where you call each other hula brothers and hula sisters, and you're responsible for one another. You're a family in an institution where there is no concept of what a family is, because you're constantly being degraded, right? So that's a very powerful tool. And that's what these guys are speaking to when they say how much they really get out of it. And there's this family that they have that they didn't have before. And it's the same thing for people in my hālau. That's what I hear too. It's this, being beholden and putting your needs behind the needs of the family. That's what it is. It's not about the individual. It's about the collective and what's best for the group. And how do we behave or do things that the group is nurtured and grows stronger? Less about our individual needs, but more about what the group needs. Now, it's not going to work if you're a freaking kumu. It's just a tyrant. It's good to be a loving, compassionate tyrant, but not a full-time badass tyrant all the time. You gotta have aspects of both, but it's not gonna work if it's just an awful kumuhula, right? That kumuhula has to not only know how to corral his group together with love and compassion and discipline, but yeah, it's more love and compassion, I would say, and the occasional discipline is definitely necessary. But if that isn't there, then your hālau or your company will not be successful, I don't think. And how do we describe successful? I mean, you can go through the whole myriad of ways that a company is successful. But yeah. Anyway.
And I think that, it's also applicable to other ways of life, like even in business, you see the successful businesses, they have everything in place and they have a good community in there.
Right.
And those are the ones that thrive, right? So same thing. It's just human nature. What you're describing is a formula for human beings to live.
Yes, Exactly. That's exactly it. Right. You know, and just, yeah, a healthy community is one that's able to be loving and kind and yet understand boundaries and understand everybody's kuleana, and thinking outside of yourself as an individual and how to take care of the collective, you know, what are the objectives? Come here, and so on and so forth. So I think that's what's been, if I can point to, if I can use that word success, because how would you define it in terms of a hālau hula? Well, we're freaking 35 years old. We're still growing strong. We're able to do new and inventive things, not only in terms of dance, but in terms of community. And we can do that because, you know, I think we are a healthy, strong community who takes care of one another and who also happens to do hula and culture, you know. But it's more than that, really. So,
Well, I absolutely love you, and this conversation was so awesome. I'm so grateful that you took the time to hang out with us.
Are you kidding? Thank you so much for having the platform for us to discuss these kind of things, you know? Yeah.
Well, I can't wait for us to do our wine tasting
Oh, yes, that's right. You know, right. And
imagine the conversations that are going to come out of that experience.
I know, because that one he won't shut up, that one. But yes, we're gonna have to do that for real.
Yeah. Is there any? I know you usually have a show. Is it the summertime?
It's every October, and so
okay.
Oh, just let me say a little bit about what this October show is going to be, because
yeah, please do.
A first, and so I was trying to think of something different and unique that we could bring to our home season. You know, try to do that every October, and then sometimes it's hard. You know, sometimes you just do like, oh, well, it's the hula show, and it's just a mishmash of a bunch of different things. But I thought, wouldn't it be great to do a show where it's all transgendered artists, and I create pieces around their music, and I was going to call it Trans-Pacific. Get it? Oh. You're so clever for 30 seconds. For 30 seconds, I thought, wow, bro, you're so good, Trans-Pacific. And then I was like, oh, then I got real. I'm like, freaking tired. Why don't I call it what it is? Mahu. So that's the name of my show. It's Mahu. And I invited Kamaka Kanaka Ole, Kumuhina, Kuwini, that awesome trio of Hawaiian musicians. They will be the guest artists, and I will create pieces around their work. And I thought, you know, with the transgender issue kind of being the zeitgeist of where the community is today about trans rights, I mean, and all the transgender people that have really inspired me over the years. I mean, these people are fierce artists, which means that I can create pieces to their works that will hopefully live up to the talent, that juggernauts of talent that these people are. So it'll inspire me to do some really great work. So that was going to be our show. It was going to be called Mahu, you know, and where else are you going to do it but in San Francisco? I don't know if it's ready for a show to be called Mahu quite yet. You know, well, maybe they are.
It might be, yeah.
Yeah, I think now is the time. It's getting to be the time. Far be it from me wanting to be the first one to do it, though. No. But I'm happy that I live in a climate in a city where it would be like, yeah, bring it on.
Yeah.
So we were going to do that, but now because of this, we had to like move it to next year because we just don't have enough time to create the show that I wanted to create. So
yeah, because you start preparing several months in advance.
Oh yeah, we would have been already right now. The dancers would have been on it, but so. And we don't know what the climate is going to be like in October, where they're going to have large gatherings take place. So it's going to be next year. That will be our show. And this will give me a longer time to create something even more mahulicious, more mahu than it would have been this year. So I'm really looking forward to making that happen.
Is it safe for me to assume that you're going to be asking for donations of glue guns?
Yeah, and only experienced muffies are glue guns. I don't want amateurs like Keali, Reichel. Yeah. Forget it. Stay home. Damn glue gun artistry. No more.
Well, he's got a year and a half to train and learn.
Yeah,
So,
right.
what else is he gonna do right now?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. That's funny.
Well, this has been so much fun, and we, aside from thanking you for taking the time to hang out with us, thank you for all you've done for the community, your students, the prisoners, just our culture. Because I think just in getting to experience and appreciate your art that you've shared with me is given me a greater appreciation for our culture that I've been born and raised in. So I just want you to know how much your art means to me personally.
Thank you so much. I appreciate hearing that. I'm the one that like I get to have all this amazing interactions with people like you and the guys in prison and my students. I really do feel like sometimes I feel like my life goes from one amazing event to another. And all I can say about that is thank you, thank you, thank you to the universe and to people like you that allow me to like talk about it and to be a part of a community where people get it. So
Yeah.
oh, well, good seeing your faces and your
Good to
doggies.
see you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, baby.
Hey,
Okay.
take care.
Bye.
We'll see you soon.
Yes. Ahui ho.
Okay, bye.
Bye.